Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Andrew DeStefano, Putnam County Crime Analysis on my last CPTED video related to Putnam County Trailway. And it has been a long ride, let me tell you. And finally, I thought I was past the tunnel, but it seems the tunnel just keeps coming back to grab me. So I do have to mention it a couple of times, but I am on my last video, and I want to move past this. I do have a couple of other projects for school that I have to finish, one of them being the Bonadeo report. But there's something else I want to do also. And what I used to do is stay away from Putnam County because people get they get upset. They get they're very, very sensitive when you talk about their fiefdoms. But I no longer care. So my projects are focused on Putnam, where I can do the most work. Where I can do best in service to my community. So like I said, I'm past the tunnel. I am convinced that CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design, crime prevention through environmental design, crime prevention through environmental design is the way to go, because you're going to bring three factors to the trailway: reduce crime, reduce fear of crime, and improve quality of life. And that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. What law enforcement had put out after the October 19th assault, it was more the traditional response that law enforcement makes, and that would not be effective on the trailway. And I mentioned this many, many times in just about every video. When they mentioned lights on the trailway, and it's not even open at night. But bigger than that was that I went through 105 pages of crime reports and police reports for the Putnam County Trailway, because I did a FOIA request, and it took me a couple of weeks. I wanted to go through every single report, and there isn't a single incident that happened as a result of there not being lights on the trailway. So that never should have been mentioned. Cameras are useless unless you're going to cover the entire 12.5-mile corridor. You could put cameras on one section. You put cameras focused on the tunnel, but you're not picking up anything else. So for the most part, very, very, very limited benefit. And the third one was, we're ramping up patrols. I assume that means increasing patrols. There have been studies going back decades, and I mean decades, starting in 1972, to state that routine patrol brings routine results. Simply increasing patrols does nothing. It's got to be smarter, more focused deployment. You can have less people and get the job done better. So in any event, so like I said, I was convinced that CPTED was needed on the Putnam County Trailway. I was more convinced after the assault occurred. I was convinced when there was talk about the stabilization center in August. I became more convinced. That's when I started my project. And then the October 19th assault occurred, and I became convinced even more. And then the October 24th news article, when I saw the police response to the trailway, and I saw that CPTED is the way to go on the trailway. So this work I'm doing now, I have 4 legal pads that I put together. But listen, I'm happy to do this. I really am. I have been very, very respectful in my work. I've mentioned no names. I talk of no one. The only thing I've mentioned was the man with the can, the guy who keeps painting the graffiti over with his gray paint. Other than that, I've been very, very respectful. This is about getting the job done. It's not about personalities. When you conduct an investigation, when you have an effort like that, the way I was always taught was that egos get checked at the door. There's no room for egos in law enforcement. So I went through the first 4 principles: natural surveillance, natural access control, territoriality, maintenance. Well, there's 14 more principles. So I'm going to try to go through them quick. Some of them don't apply. Some of them apply to different. Like one of them may apply to 5 different problems. So we just got to pick up on it. Traffic calming, okay? Like the word calm, traffic calming. It modifies driver behavior, usually aimed towards cars, speed bumps, speed humps, cut curves, things like that, raised intersections. But it could be aimed toward high-speed bikes too, and you have that a lot on the trailway. And traffic calming can also intersect with natural surveillance, the ability to see and to be seen. So without further ado, I want to hit the first video. Now you see, actually it's just a picture, but you see on the left-hand side, you see all that brown brush. Some of it raises to like 7 feet high. Because of that overgrown brush, you can't see anything around that bend. That bend is it looks dead. It's a very, very limited sight bend. Now, I thought about maybe putting on the right-hand side a convex mirror, like I spoke of before. But you know what? If you just had a guy with a weed whacker go on the left-hand side and whack out all that grass, all that overgrown brush, whatever it is, you could open up a line of sight like 50 yards. You could be able to see all the way around that bend and a line of sight all the way to the end of that corridor. And that's important because that, like I said, that's natural surveillance, bidirectional visibility, the ability to see and be seen, not only for crime purposes, but for high-speed bikes. Next one here is the sign again, which I bring up. I brought up this sign before in previous videos because it talked about when law enforcement spoke about number 4, which is the when they said they were going to possibly put in lights in key areas, and they said, "Well, look at the sign. You know, the trailway's closed at night, so you don't need lights." But if you look at number 12, no litter, debris, or graffiti is permitted, and the word graffiti is crossed off, and there's graffiti all over that sign. But look at number 11. Avoid excessive speed or passerby or passing pedestrians. So there is a need for traffic calming on the trailway, and it's posted right there. Like I said on the previous video, I thought about maybe a convex mirror, but you don't need that. Now, the next one is hostile vegetation, defensive vegetation. Stuff like thorns. When you have, for instance, graffiti along the walls, you plant thorns in the ground, up against those walls. The graffiti artist cannot get to the wall. He cannot tag those walls. And this way, your man with the can doesn't have to keep coming to the trailway every couple of weeks to paint it over. So let's see which one we have. Which one we use for that one. Every time a tag artist puts graffiti on these walls, now listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Authority, I don't know who it is. He's coming with gray paint or silver paint and just patches over it, which is exactly what you don't do in CPTED, crime prevention to environmental design. Because all you're doing is you're creating a canvas for them to come back and repaint it over and over and over. If you look here, you have old graffiti under new graffiti and new graffiti on top of older graffiti. It's all over the place. Now, how do you prevent that? Well, you don't keep coming back and just keep painting it over and over as if you have nothing better to do. You have your highway department, whoever takes care of your landscaping, just come rip this out real quick, keep it down, kill it, and then just put what's called hostile vegetation, thorns, right? You put them up
or defensive
here,
vegetation.
Nobody can get in, nobody can approach the wall. And that's it. Problem solved. Unless you want to just keep coming back and just keep creating a canvas for your tag artist to keep coming back. All right? Thank you.
There you go. Now, by placing defensive or hostile vegetation, you're controlling access to graffiti-prone areas. Like I said, you plant hostile and defensive vegetation, thorns, or so a lot of times roses have different types of roses have thorns. So you plant that, and you're gonna really make a mark into your graffiti problem and other types of problems. Transition zones not needed in CPTED. Lighting, another one, not needed. Don't know why it was ever mentioned. Celebrated entryway, very important, but not for the trailway. That's for something different. That's like a multi-building complex or campus. Focal point, very important. Focal point is a feature that draws positive attention and creates a natural sense of control. Focal point, anything a point that brings focus onto your trailway. Okay, there's a lot of interchangeability here. Like I said, some of these principles can apply to various situations. Having activities on the trailway, right? Every town has a rec center: Patterson Rec, Southeast Rec, Carmel Rec, etc. Well, there's a lot of room on the trailway for you to do your activities on the trailway. And what are activities? Well, activities involve people. People have eyes. Eyes equal security. Eyes equal security. This stuff has been around for 60 years, and it's been invented by people a lot smarter than I am. And that segues right into, and it's probably part of the next principle: positive activity generator. Exactly what it sounds like. Anything that generates positive activity. Now I'll show a video first, and then you can see what I'm talking about. But the video itself, I'm a little disappointed because it's kind of out of context. It looks like the ends are the ground is like falling over. It doesn't look as big as it really is. It's a nice flat spot.
Now, this is what I'm talking about right here. This here represents.
See what I'm saying? It doesn't
the
look
very
that big.
best of the
Doesn't
Putnam
look
County
big.
Trailway, okay?
But
Because
it's nice.
in
Nice and flat.
CPTED, in crime prevention to environmental design, CPTED is about the effective use of the built environment to produce 3 results: reduce crime, reduce the fear of crime, and to improve quality of life.
I thought I said that.
Part of that is getting people down to the trailway in the first place. Because what is that? That's eyes. Eyes are security. You have people on the trailway, that's built-in security right
Now you see that area right there? There's a number of areas just like that. It just juts out and it's nice and flat. You could put a number of chairs there. You could put some tables there. If you had the system, there's you could lay out one of those chess flats, and then I've seen parks where they have chess pieces that are like 2.5 feet high. They're very light, but they're big. They're 2.5 feet high. And when you want to make a move, you want to move your pawn, you want to move your rook, your knight, etc., you just pick them up and you move them. And they're basically life-size chess pieces. They're really cool. A little disappointed, like I said, because of the context of the video. But this is great. It's a great area, and they have a lot of those spots there. So now, what could you do there? Well, name it. You could have Tai Chi classes. You could have yoga classes, meditation classes. Like I said, chess classes, book clubs. You could go there on nice days, Sunday mornings, positive weather. Not inclement weather, so to speak. And you could do whatever it is you do in other places. You could do it right there. It is so underutilized, and by utilizing it, you're bringing security to the trailway. This is where you need to think. You need to think outside the box. You can't go right away to cameras and more patrols and more of this. Sometimes the easier fix is the better fix. And that's what CPTED is about. And like I said, crime prevention, preventing the crime before it happens. A woman should not have to get her head bashed in order for there to be law enforcement. In other words, you could just stop the crime before it happens. We're all better off. So a lot of classes could be held there. This one is nice. And this is the same exact thing.
But also would be perfect here, a 5K run sponsored by Putnam County.
Yep.
This is incredible. You have 12.5 miles of the Putnam County corridor, and it's badly underutilized. This would be something where, again, you bring in outside groups, within the county. This would be perfect.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep playing the video, but essentially, if you had 5K runs, 10K runs, a lot of these runners, they come from out of state to do these runs. Guys come from out of state, women come from out of state. The theory is that they would utilize some of the stores, some of the delis, the trains, et cetera. They hit the gas stations. It's a home run. And they use these runs, these 5Ks and 10Ks, to prepare for the bigger runs, the marathons, the half marathons, et cetera. But these are not, you can do those all year long. No such thing as inclement weather. unless it's a snowstorm, obviously. But these guys run in all kinds of weather. Um, so in a situation like that, it would be nice to see for the county if the different agencies got involved within the county, like the county government, the county tourism department, promoting that outside the county, different things that the county itself can't do, but tourism can. Um, Now, if you had, activities on the trailway, especially 5Ks and 10Ks and different runs and whatnot, they would have, we would come into something right now. Okay. Now, what are these? These are called in CPTED. These are called bollards. All right. You see them all over the place. You see them in the city. Except in the city, what they do is, and in other places, they're like ours here in Putnam County on the Trailway. They look like they've seen better days. Now, I'm not talking about replacing them. I'm talking about having high school kids projects, having projects like the kids come in and let them do murals on these murals on these bollards. Let them paint them. Let them come with a plan with the murals, and then just create their murals on the bollards. They do it in all other places. I see it. I see it with my own eyes. And like I said, when I study it, that's what they show in the books when I see it. So these bollards would look nice if people came in, supervised, of course, but they come in and they can construct their own murals on these bollards. Now, what would be nice if you had a 5K, 10K, if you had outside activity coming into the trailway. What the county could do, you want to make some money here, and we're always interested in that. That's what you can do with your bollards. You could place advertisements on your bollards, and anybody could do it. A store, a business, an elected official, a political campaign, anybody who wants to pay, for the day or for whatever. You just put your temporary advertisement onto the bollard. You charge them X amount of dollars. Walmart does that. Now, that's a Walmart store and a Walmart advertisement. But at the other entrance, there's a Verizon advertisement on the bollard. So, and they're not doing it for free. Walmart's making money off of that. So that's a very good idea. Now, the next principle that we go through here is the opposite of positive activity generator. What's that? That's negative activity generator, right? Anything that generates negative activity. And what do we talk about a lot? Graffiti. Okay. There is no plan to address graffiti. There is no plan to address graffiti. And I don't want to hear we're ramping up patrols. That is not a plan. Routine patrol brings routine results. Unless you're incredibly lucky, you're not going to catch the guy like that. All right. And it's not going to stop. And like negative activity, it's exactly as it sounds. Now, I can tell you something. We better start addressing graffiti. We better start addressing graffiti. It's a problem. When I go door to door trying to get on the talking to people about the Patterson committee, I'm not mentioning any politics here, but as I go door to door and I talk to people, I'm only in one town, the town of Patterson, and I'm only in one district in the town of Patterson, the first district, District 1. I've had probably 3 or 4 people already talk to me about the Trailway. Now, maybe they talk to me because they see the videos. In fact, one woman said that. But other than that, these are people that said they used to use the trailways. They no longer do. There was one woman. Right now, it's when is it? It's Tuesday night, June 8th, and I spoke to her Friday night, June 5th, right in front of the Patterson Village, right along 311 there, and we talked for about an hour. And she's a lifelong Patterson resident, Putnam Lake. And she, a couple of years ago, I guess, bought a condo, co-op in Patterson Village. And she told me that she used to go to the Putnam County Trailway a lot, and she no longer does, and she won't go to that trailway because, quote unquote, she said it creeps me out. Now, this is Putnam County. This is Putnam County. There should be nothing that creeps us out. Nothing should be creeping us out in Putnam County, but this is what people tell me. And they're telling me as they're walking, they're talking about the graffiti. It just gives them a bad feeling, and I was on the trailway, and I walk the trails a lot here in Putnam. I used to do it more, But I've walked the trails for years here in Putnam, and I love doing it. My favorite trail to walk is when my one of my comrades in the Brewster VFW, Steve Matson, shout out to you. He wrote a book, Adventures Around Adventures Around Putnam, and it has a lot of trailways in there, and it's like the Bible on trailways in Putnam, and I follow it. And my favorite trailway is one in Kent, and it's called Rock Hawk Park. Very, very small, but it's nice. You just walk straight up the trail. You go up a way, and but it's very nice. And but as I walk the trailway doing this project, I could see what they're talking about. It's very, you can feel desolate. You know, I'm walking, and I can almost feel like someone's watching me. It's a strange feeling, but I don't feel as comfortable there as I do on other areas. And this is a very important part. It's a very important trailway. It's an important aspect of our county, because I understand they worked very hard to make that happen, and people feel uncomfortable walking it. Okay, so I'm just saying we got to start addressing graffiti. We can't keep ignoring it. We can't keep painting over it. That's not going to mitigate it. We can't keep pretending it doesn't exist. When the October 24th news article was written by May Impact News, I didn't see anything about graffiti. Graffiti needs to be part of any anti-crime plan, or else you don't have a plan. Okay. Now, who does graffiti? Who does it? People that defy authority. Graffiti, by its very definition, is defiance of authority. So it's people that defy authority, people that are malicious, people that are tenacious, people that destroy public property. Is that what you want? I mean, we want to attract people. We talked about positive activity generators. Well, we are generating negative activity. We are attracting people that defy authority. We're attracting people that are malicious. We're attracting people that are tenacious. By ignoring the graffiti, we are attracting this. There's no other way around it. Okay, so we don't want to be attracting these people anymore. I do have one video on it. I've shown it before, but I'll show it quick. Actually, no. You know what? I'm not going to run it twice. I already showed that. I showed another one. All right. So, like I said, we got to start addressing graffiti. What saddens me is that in the police reports, in the 105-page police reports, not the report that deals with the assault on October 19th, but there's another report where the woman, the victim who was assaulted, she called up, I believe it was the sheriff's department. Don't quote me on that, but she called up law enforcement sometime after the assault and said, "The guy who assaulted me, I see him on the trailway. He's there right now." And there was this big response to the trailway, and bosses in the sheriff's department, high level bosses, maybe the sheriff himself, I don't know, was called and started calling around. The guy's there. Go find out. The guy's there. Go see if he's there. Okay. So as I'm going through that report and I'm looking at it, now they're looking for this guy. All right, you find him. Now what? Now what? What are you gonna do? What's he doing wrong? What's he doing wrong? Okay, he's there. Is he not allowed to be there? So why are we looking for him? My point is this, okay, and I'm saying this respectfully. By treating that as a crime instead of a mental health issue, we boxed ourselves into a corner. We did. This guy has been arrested already for the assault, so there's nothing we can do to him about that. He's already seen a judge, which means he's been arraigned, which means he has an attorney. So you're not going to question him about that. He's not doing anything. He's not. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do if you find him. Had this been handled as a mental health issue, and I believe respectfully it should have been. Respectfully, yes, it should have been handled, I believe, as a mental health issue, because then you would have options. You know, there's other things we could have been able to do other than just go out and look for the guy. and then do nothing when we find them. If you have what's called, I did it 3 years ago for Putnam County, a sequential intercept model. Sequential intercept model seeks the identification of mental health issues with a diversion away from the criminal justice system, trying not to use the criminal justice system in every instance, trying to take some things as a mental health issue. That's what a sequential intercept model is, and you have to build it up. I did a whole project on it, actually, but I believe that's the way it should have gone during that thing, because some mention was made about no cash bail. No cash bail played no role in this incident. Played no role at all, because the guy was charged with a misdemeanor. He was getting released anyway, whether there was cash bail, no cash bail or not. He was getting released. Anybody would have been released in that situation. Now, the project that I did 3 years ago, it was police response to people with mental illness. Like I said, the real benefit of already having a sequential intercept model in place is because you're seeking the effective recognition and treatment of mental illness and that diversion away from the criminal justice system. You would have had probably, not definitely, probably, you would have had options that night had you found him. There may have been some things you could have done to remove him from the trailway legally. So, but like I said, I'm not, I never second guess police, because I'm not at the scene. I'm not there. I'm not making those split second calls, whether it's a shooting situation or whether it's an arrest situation. I'm not there making the call. So I don't second guess. And that's the policy you have. Okay. Now, the next one is wayfinding. Wayfinding is a lot more crime fighting than you would think. This is wayfinding. Okay. This project was done by a Boy Scout for his Eagle Scout project. Now, this is more than just maps and charts and how to and where to and et cetera and directions. This lets you know where you are, where you go, how to get there, et cetera. And how does that fight crime? Because if you're being watched, if you're being followed, if there's somebody on the trailway that's up to no good, if he sees somebody walking around aimlessly, doesn't know where they go, they look like they don't belong, looks like they're lost, they're making themselves a target. With this thing makes people know where they are, where they have to go, and the directions to get there. They make themselves feel as if they belong. This thing fights crime more than you know. So, like I said, it was done by an Eagle Scout project. Now, I'll do one more for one more principle for wayfinding, and this is in a negative way, but we have to have both. Now, I saw this on the trailway. Okay, this is no bikes, right? I mean, we can agree on that. Can we agree? This means no bikes on this trailway. No bikes, right? Not 20 feet away, less, but not 20 feet away is this bike route. So what is it? Is it this? Or is it this? And they're right next to each other. It's not like they're down the road. It's like I can't touch them both, but I'm saying they're like 15 feet away, and they're both, you look at them like this, left and right. What do I follow? Now, I don't think, listen, nobody's going to get confused over it, but that's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is wayfinding, okay? So, in any event, it's very tough making videos, and you got to have a drink once in a while. So now, the last thing I'll say is this. The trailway is very important to Putnam County residents. And I get that sense because as I put out these videos, a lot of people talk to me. A lot of people who I don't even know, I've had people grab me at church and ask me about about the trailway and different things they do there. But, and like I said, I had a guy at the gym talking to me about, the oral sex guy at the tunnel. We didn't talk about the trailway before. But this is the benefit of making these videos. It brings people out. It brings concerns to the fore. And that's a good thing. So, but when the October 24th news article came out about, and I mentioned this one time, when the article came out October 24th, in response, in reaction to reactive policing, when it came in reaction to the October 19th assault, that was your inputs. Okay. They gave their inputs, the lights, the cameras, and the increased patrols. Those were the inputs. But nothing was mentioned about outcomes. There was no mention of outcomes anywhere. And you can't have that. You can't have that. You have your inputs, but what are your outcomes? How did you make out? You put this into it. What did you get out of it? People need to know that too. They can't just know what they're doing. They need to know how this improved. What did we get? Was it a zero or was it a home run? Was it a single? Was it a double? Was it a walk? What was it? You can't just say, we're going to do this. And then there's no proof you even did that. People need to know. People always need to know because they need to feel safe. That's how you do it. That's how I was always learned. So, but in any event, thank you so much for watching my videos on CPTED. And I hope you follow the next project. Now for school, it's long over. I already got a grade on it, but I got to finish it. I was told the video part of it anyway. But in any event, this is Andrew DeStefano, and God bless you. Be safe and be well as always.